Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. Oh, man. Thank you for supporting what we do. We've been demonetized, so please help us out as best you can. I've updated the Patreon page, patreon.com/Graham Elwood. There's now merch available. I've streamlined it. You can get a PV sticker. You can get some cool stuff, a mug, if you support us at Patreon. And I'm putting more exclusive content that is only available on Patreon. So please check that out. And then go to grahamelwood.com because we've got tour dates coming up. And one of the things that's important to cover is the environment, because it's collapsing and no one seems to care about it. Joe Biden and the Democrats and the Republicans are too busy spending ridiculous amounts of money on this nonsensical war in Ukraine. And the United States military is the number one contributor to pollution in the world. But nobody cares because this is what is happening in Pakistan. A bridge just collapsed. I'm going to show you this news story. This is from a glacier melting and flooding in Pakistan. And this has been happening, and they've had record temperatures already. It's only May. It's only May. We haven't even gotten into the summer yet. What's going to happen when it's 110 or 20 and more stuff melts? I mean, this is and if you think, well, I don't live in Pakistan, we've had floods in America. It's going to keep happening all over the world.
Pakistan's climate minister has told the BBC that the summer heat wave that's come months earlier than usual has been melting glaciers in the Himalayas. This is causing flooding that's collapsing some bridges in Pakistan. The BBC's Azadeh Mashiri has this report.
A bridge collapsing into raging waters beneath it. You'd think this was a rare occurrence, but in Pakistan, it isn't. This bridge in the town of Hassanabad collapsed after what's known as a glacial lake outburst released devastating amounts of water. And this is happening more frequently in Pakistan, as heat waves have been melting the country's glaciers.
They're Brits, so they don't say glacier, they say glaciers, but that's what they're talking about. So there's glaciers up in the Himalayas, which is the mountain range in India, covers large portions of that part of the world. And this is not a freak occurrence, they said. This keeps happening. We've seen flooding in America. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take for people to do anything, but
local officials had to ensure people weren't left stranded in the flooding.
We have moved all those who are vulnerable, and we have provided them with rations. At the moment, thank God, there are no people left at risk.
Heat waves are a common occurrence in Pakistan, but they've arrived earlier than usual this year across South Asia and reached record levels. Hitting well above 40 degrees Celsius in some regions, it's caused power and water shortages. Scientists say this is because of climate change, and Pakistan's climate minister told the BBC the country's agriculture market is facing a crisis because of it.
Pakistan is a hugely agricultural country. Much of our labor goes into the agricultural sector, and 40% food insecurity has set in because food production, and particularly crops such as rice and wheat, are impacted. We used to export all these commodities, and now we're importing them to feed our population.
Did you just hear that? Pakistan is a country of over 1 billion people. 40% of the country has food insecurity. Agriculture was a big part of their economy. They were exporting their wheat and their rice. But now, because of the floods, this destroys crops. You can't grow in these conditions. So now they're having to import food. So a country of 1 billion people, 40% food insecure. That means 400 million people, more than the entire population of America, are food insecure. That's pretty horrifying.
For now, the only immediate solution offered in the regions affected is to avoid sun exposure. But that won't stop dangers like these. Azadeh Mashiri, BBC News.
And then this just came out. Climate change, 50-50 chance of breaching 1.5 degrees Celsius warming limit. This just came out today. And everyone's like, oh man, a 50-50 chance? So if we breach this 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is about 2 or 3 degrees Fahrenheit, that means we're going to have more glaciers melting and flooding and more bridges and more agricultural problems. So what do we do if America starts having this problem? Well, America already is having growing food insecure, mainly because of toxic capitalism and the fact that we bail out Wall Street during a pandemic, but not American workers. Both parties. That Trump did it when he was, and Biden, and like this notion to listen to like, yeah, Biden's awful, but everyone was jumping in the streets when he won. Yay, Trump's gone. All right, now what? Biden's off. And so what's going to happen? They're just going to kick the football back. And then a bunch of idiot Republicans are going to run things into the ground. And then we'll go, we got to get him out of there. And then the Democrats, and then we got to get, and they'll be, and it just, have we woken up yet, America? 30 years, I've seen both parties just ruin the country back and forth. No matter who's in power, it always gets worse. And we can't mess around with this. This problem can't be fixed by Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi or Biden or Trump or any of the other dipshits that are in these two corrupt parties. Like, so if you don't want floods to come down your street and then have your community, what if we've had big, remember, we had big floods in Iowa like 2 years ago? And only 60% of the crops were planted? It's going to start happening here. All these glaciers start melting in the Colorado, and then we have big droughts, and it's just going to be all this extreme weather, droughts and floods. All right, man. Let's not do anything about it. Let's keep sending money to Ukraine. I think that sounds like a plan rather than address climate change. And when Joe Biden said we need a middle ground on climate policy. Middle ground on climate policy is telling Wall Street and the fossil fuel companies, the military industrial complex, and any of the big corporations that pollute, don't worry, I won't. And then, that's Joe Biden's. That's the big Democratic Party coming to rescue. The Republican Party is just flat out like, oh, all of Trump's cabinet was climate deniers, right? So we're going to die either way. All Biden's middle ground climate policy is going to buy us an extra maybe 5, 10 years. So we'll all be dead by the year 2050 instead of all be dead by the year 2045. If Trump would have been elected, we'd all be dead by the year 2045. But Biden is going to buy us 5 years. And those 5 years are going to be a hellscape. All right. Democratic Party is not going to save the environment. They're not going to do it. The Republicans clearly don't want to. Both parties get money from the fossil fuel industry. The oil lobby gives definitely more money to the Republicans, but they still give a fair amount to the Democrats. Go to opensecrets.org and look it up for yourself. So this is going to keep happening if we don't do something about it. So we need some strikes for the environment. We need to shut businesses down to save the environment, or we're all going to die. That's how it's going to shake out. You're not going to fix this at the ballot box. Look at AOC and the squad. Useless. They are useless. The Democratic Party is useless for Roe v. Wade. I did videos showing you that. Obama could have codified Roe v. Wade. Obama could have got another liberal judge on the Supreme Court. Didn't. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was asked to step down. She wouldn't under Obama, and she waited till Trump. So she got replaced with a Republican. It's insane. Nancy Pelosi is to this right now backing a anti-abortion Democrat. Hillary Clinton had Tim Kaine. So look how they handled Roe v. Wade. You think the Democratic Party is going to do the right thing on climate change? You got to be kidding me. The Democrats are in power right now. The Democrats have the House and the Senate and the White House. We should just be steamrolling a Green New Deal, getting this done. Nope, we're not. We're sending money to Ukraine, but not to the American people. We're bailing out Wall Street, but we're not bailing out the environment. Do you think floods like this are going to be good for the American farmer? If they're bad for the farmers in India, do you think we're going to somehow be better? Climate change doesn't care where you live. Climate change doesn't care whether you're a Republican or Democrat. Climate change doesn't give a shit. So that's the reality. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. Species that don't evolve go extinct. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.